I ain't no altar boy. I ain't no yes man. No, no. You ain't no God of mine. No. I don't need your...
Well, hey, everybody, I'm David Ridings. That's my new intro music there. What do you think about it? I like it. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait, here it comes. Okay, hey, everybody, I'm David Ridings with Crime Time Central, live on Stand Against Dark Blue, Facebook and YouTube platforms. Do me a favor, if you're on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to start posting videos there primarily, and it would help me if you would go to that platform and like the channel and subscribe. Helps us on the algorithms for obvious reasons. So, hey, listen, this is our, and the bully cam of the day goes to, this is Keller City, Texas. Keller City, Texas. This guy's a sergeant with the police department there. And we're going to start monitoring body cams. And listen, when we find a bully, we're going to expose it. We're going to shine a light on it. I do a lot of commentary on body cams and trials and things like that. But you know what? I'm going to start doing this daily, where I bring you a Bullycam of the Day award. And the Bullycam of the Day award goes to Keller City, Texas. Let's watch this video. I will comment through it in a couple of places. You'll see exactly why I think this guy deserves our Bullycam of the
320, go ahead and send me a unit when you got available. Hey, roll your window back down.
What's up?
My name is Sergeant Schmont, the Keller Police Department. The reason being stopped today, you made a wide right turn when you turned from 1709 to 377. Any reason why you're rolling your window up when I walk up to this car?
No, sir.
You've been driving it down for the past mile.
I just rolled it up.
All right, step out of the car.
So this kid, he's been taught that by somebody, his father or somebody, I think he says later in this video. He has the right to roll his window up. He has the right to greet this officer with a window that's rolled down just far enough to pass his documents through. The officer has the right to ask him to roll it down, but he doesn't have to roll it down. This kid, had he known what his rights were, could have said, no, I'm comfortable with the window up. I'm not encouraging this necessarily, so don't hate on me. I mean, I used to be a police officer, so I understand what it's like to approach a vehicle with tinted windows like that. And this officer has the right to do his due diligence and make sure that his officer safety is of utmost concern. But that doesn't mean that you get to violate somebody's rights. This officer has a power problem, okay? His ego is bigger than the law. And he wants this kid to know he has the power. He has all the power. Don't be rolling up your window like that, because it makes it look like you have more power than I do. That's what it's all about. And when officers get really big, crazy big egos, it creates the Bullycam of the Day award. So it gets
Far from me. Step out. Do not shut that window.
Oh man,
Open it now.
I told you, man, what are you doing? You're rolling the window up again. So what the kid wanted to do was roll the window up and shut and lock his door, because he didn't want the cop going through his car. And he felt like he had the right to roll the window up. If the cop's asking him to step out of the car, he had the right to roll the window up and lock the door, which technically he does have that right. But this cop was not going to be told that. So, and it made him angry when he did that.
Out. Right here. Face that direction. Face that direction. Put your hands right here behind your back. Don't move. Do you understand? Why are you acting so suspicious?
That's not suspicious. That's just challenging your authority. And he hasn't done anything wrong, but he's immediately placed in handcuffs.
Well, what, you roll your window up when I'm walking up on scene for a routine traffic stop. Ain't nothing going on. You roll your window up. What does that look like to me?
I mean, I'm just rolling it up because it's for my safety.
For your safety?
Yeah. Nothing. I rolled up my window.
Take off.
That's my dad.
No, sir. Yeah.
I rolled up my window.
320, give me unit code now.
And he got mad because I rolled up my window.
So dad pulls up with a video camera. Cop gets even more angry, calls for backup pretty urgently. Give me backup now. Tells dad to move along. He said no, and he's not going to. He didn't have to. Now the cop does challenge him a little bit further and says, "You're blocking the roadway."
Step right here.
I rolled it up.
Step right feet.
Well, that's what happened, huh?
Yeah.
You're about to be arrested for blocking the roadway if you don't park and get out.
I rolled.
Park and get out?
I rolled
Park over there.
You said I can. It's my right.
He's like, "Park and get out. You really told me I could park and get out?" Because normally they'll get mad at you when you park and get out. And they'll say you're interfering with my investigation when you walk up on the scene. So this cop invites him to park and get out. So eventually that's what he does.
You're interfering with my job. You need to go park over there.
I'm just reporting you.
You're interfering with
I
my
rolled up my
job.
window like you said. It was my right to roll up my window.
No, it's not.
It's my right to roll up the window. No, it's not. Yes, it is. 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 Okay, I'm replaying that scene from Elf over and over in my head. Sorry. Let's go back to the video. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
320 gotten back up and route. Do you have any weapons on you?
No, sir.
Back. I mean, sure, he can call for backup. He doesn't want the situation to get out of hand. These guys don't look like they're, I mean, it's a father and son deal here. It doesn't look like he's in any danger.
All right. Is your ID in your wallet?
Yes, sir.
Why on earth are you acting like this?
I just.
Now that's when you say, "I'm sorry, officer, I don't answer questions." "I'm sorry, officer, you're not requiring me to answer questions, are you, without a lawyer?" I mean, listen, parents, you need to teach your kids what their rights are. You teach your boys, and I've got 5 boys, and I taught them all how to be pulled over by the police. First thing you do is you don't make any moves when you're originally pulled over. Saw a video a little earlier tonight where the girl was pulled over. She immediately undid her seatbelt and then reached and got everything ready for the cop. And when he walked up, he said, "The reason I stopped you was you didn't have your seatbelt on." Well, she had a dash cam, so thank goodness. She said, "No, I've got a camera. I had this on." He didn't believe her, but it's important for you to be completely still when you get pulled over by the police and your hands on the steering wheel until they greet you. When they greet you and they ask you for your documents, they ask you for your identification, you can roll the window down as far as you're comfortable rolling it down. It's not illegal to roll it down just a few inches, and it's okay to roll it all the way down. I don't necessarily, I'm not going to not roll the window down because I'm not one of these auditors that's just going to go out there and try to stir up trouble with the police. I just don't think anything good comes from that. Although maybe 1 million YouTube views will come from it. And sometimes that's what these videoers will want. They just are, agitating the cops so they can get views. So
Nervous, man.
Look,
Okay, I'm
it was a
sorry.
routine traffic stop. All right.
Yes.
I've never met you before.
Yes, I know.
And then the first thing you do is you roll up your window like that. Okay.
I thought it was allowed, so we can roll up my window and hand out my license to you.
How do you think it would look to me if you're rolling up your window when you walk up?
I guess suspicious a little bit.
okay, right there, another good reason to remain silent when you're being questioned by the police. Just invoke your right to remain silent. Don't answer that question. How do you think it looks when you walk up and you roll up the window? Don't say, "I think it looks suspicious." You've just admitted that you've done something that made the officer reasonably seem suspicious of you. So don't answer questions like that. That's, one of the little mistakes that this kid made. He's not one of these auditors that's going to go out and doing this on purpose. So he's not practiced at it. But he basically just, you don't you don't answer questions. You just respectfully say, I'm sorry, officer, I don't answer any questions without a lawyer. And I am a lawyer. I mean, I'm a defense lawyer. I tell people that all the time. And it's human nature for you to want to answer the police officer's questions. And it's just a part of psychology for you to automatically agree with the officer when he says something like, well, doesn't that look suspicious? Well, I guess it kind of does. That's just human nature. You may not really believe that he may not really have believed that what he was doing should have been suspicious, but he's agreed with the officer because he feels like that's what he's supposed to do. So that's human nature. That's why it's better to remain silent.
Suspicious. So it's even more suspicious, right? You've been cruising. It's a hot day. You've been cruising around with your window down.
Yes, sir.
And the first thing I do when I walk up is you roll your window up.
Yes, sir.
Then I say, step out of the car, and then you proceed to roll your window up all the way, and I can no longer see you.
I can roll my window and then shut the door and lock it. That's what I was told.
By who?
My dad.
Okay.
By the law, the government.
Okay. When you're doing that, you're taking away. I can't see anything, apart from the fact it's rude. It's rude, is it not? I'm trying to have a conversation with you. You roll up the window.
So the officer doesn't like being videoed by dad. It's thrown him off his game. And so he's concentrating on the guy across the street. He's not doing anything. He's just videoing him. And cops should be used to that in 2021. I'm sorry. This is, everybody's got an HD camera in their pocket. You're going to get videoed when you go out there. Be ready for it and act accordingly.
And I'm trying to do my job. And now you're taking away. Just watch him. Yep. But yet, arrest him.
Oh, well.
For blocking the roadway.
Blocking the road?
Yep.
Oh, it's just taken a little nasty turn. So the officer's ego will not let him let dad stand over there and peacefully video it. So the backup is there to help keep the scene. That's why you call backup. You want backup there so it doesn't get out of control. You don't get a mad dad or a mad mom over there yelling at the cop and how he's mistreating her son or whatever. So you want another person there so they can just keep the scene peaceful. But this cop just escalated it. And this is the major mistake. Now he's made mistakes already. Okay. He gets offended real easy. And you can't be a cop and get offended real easy. So let's just start there. But when he says, hey, watch this guy over there, and the guy says, watch him what? Stand here? And well, that pissed off the cop even more. And he said, arrest him. Well, this cop doesn't even ask questions about arrest him for what. This cop says, okay, I guess I'll arrest him. So they both go over and put hands on this guy. Well, the guy kind of bucks up a little bit, and he, the first thing he did, I don't know if you noticed it. The first thing this police officer did, they're right here. He reaches for his phone. He takes that phone because that's why he really wanted him arrested. He doesn't want him over there videoing. So the sergeant that's made the stop comes over to help in the arrest of this criminal and immediately snatches his phone. Goes to place him under arrest. Well, the guy kind of pulled away, and as soon as he made the least little move at nothing but 100% compliance, it's bam on the ground. Now we don't get to see that part. I don't know why that part was cut out of this video, but he gets taken to the ground and pepper sprayed. Dad, for blocking the roadway, allegedly. Whew. I think it just got real. And this officer is going to pay for that. So now he's telling the fellow officer comes up and he's going to recount what happened. Okay. Let's see if his story recounting what happened. Let's see if it matches what you and I just watched.
So, kid's acting nervous as can be. I said, buddy, step out of the car. He proceeds to start rolling up the car, and I thought he was going to drive off on me.
Thought he was going to drive off on me? Really? What gave you that impression? He didn't say that before. So I think he's just embellishing here. That embellish word is a really, really fancy word for lying. And so he's making the story sound a little more dangerous. And so he was acting really suspicious, and I thought he was going to drive off. And
well, the door open. He steps out, no issue. I had to go to detain him. Dad is cruising down the road, stops in the middle of the road. I said, leave. You need to leave. He's feeding son. No, this is neighbor that lives over here. He's feeding son, telling him what to do. Step right here. Do not shut that window. Open it now. Step out.
Sorry, I just skipped along too far.
He's feeding son, telling him what to do.
I don't remember him feeding son, telling him what to do. He was asking what happened.
Step right here.
I rolled it up.
Separate feet.
Well, that's what happened, huh?
And I said, no, sir, you need to leave. I said, sir, if you don't leave, I said, you're going to be detained for blocking the roadway here.
Yeah.
You're about to be arrested for blocking the roadway if you don't park and get out. And so then he proceeds to back up all the way, parks over there, and he walks up into my scene multiple times. I said, you're done. You're under arrest.
He walks up into my scene multiple times, and he said, all right, you're done. You're under arrest. So this is him walking up into the scene multiple times right here. The only time he approaches, see the little red arrow right here? That's Dad.
We're to take him into custody.
On the other side of the roadway, folks. He's not even in the scene. He's very respectfully keeping, I bet he wanted to be over there close where he could video and hear, but he very respectfully stayed on the other side of the road so as not to be mistaken for interfering with the scene. Dad did everything right here. Dad didn't do anything wrong. I would have probably done more than this dad. Not that I would have been aggressive, but I definitely would have wanted to be closer where I could hear what was going on. Charles says, so let's say he didn't roll his window down after rolling it up. Wouldn't the officer just escalate even more if he refuses to roll down the window? Seems like it would only get worse for the person. Yeah, you're right. That's an excellent point, Charles. So if the kid had rolled the window up because he wanted just to greet the officer with that much window open, he had the right to do that. Now this officer clearly would have gotten more agitated and probably opened the door and yanked him out. I've seen that happen. It's not proper policy for the police officer to do that. And it's not proper legally either. He's not allowed to open the door and yank him out just because the kid's rolled his window up and he doesn't like it. He has to swallow his pride, and the officer has to take it. Now, this officer probably wouldn't have done that. So you're right. It would have escalated more. But let's be honest here. This cop was going to escalate it no matter what. This cop was mad that he rolled the window up in the first place, and he wasn't going to recover from that. So true. He may have escalated it more, but the boy would have been within his rights to do that and not roll the window back down and say, no, officer, I feel safer with the window rolled up like this. And he could have even locked the door. He didn't have to open the door. And then the officer probably would have told him to step out of the car. Then he got a decision to make. Do you really want to stand your ground? Because if the officer asks you to step out of the car for his safety, the law in Texas says you have to do that. You have to get out of the car because the courts have construed that there as a minimal intrusion, even though it's not necessarily the law for you to step out. The courts have determined that is not against the law for the cop to ask you to get out, and they're going to err on the side of officer safety instead of your inconvenience. So it's a minimal inconvenience the courts have determined, and they allow the cops to do that, to ask you out. So yes, you're right. It would have, but hey, we've got to hold these cops to account. I'm sorry. It would have made the cop mad, but you got video, you got Dad over here videoing, you got the body cam video. You just be polite and courteous and invoke your right
violation
early and often, and let the courts work it. You're not going to argue with this cop out on the scene and win, but you eventually will win if you do things the right way.
Interference, and he resisted, so he got sprayed with traffic violation, interference, and he resisted.
He said
For the traffic violation.
So he said
for the custody, for the traffic violation, interference, and
they took him into custody for the traffic violation and the interference, both for blocking the roadway and for the interference into my scene multiple times. That's why he was taken into custody. And then he resisted arrest, which is why he got taken to the ground.
He resisted, so he got sprayed, was taken to the ground. He came out down the, he's videoing us, and now I guess we got family members here.
So this is the officer's report. Let's see if the officer's report maybe embellishes a little bit more. It says here, a second vehicle, which was Dad, approached from behind me. I did not hear the second vehicle as I was focused on Dylan, which is the driver. And I heard a male yell towards myself and Dylan, which startled me. Do you remember it that way? Do you remember the car coming from behind and sneaking up on him? Because it seemed to me he drove right up and he said, "You need to leave." And he said, "No, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to video. That's my son." And wow. So now you got a cop lying, which, I mean, you know, okay. People that think cops don't lie don't really know cops, because that's what some of them do. And they do it quite convincingly. So let's go on and see what else he writes. So I told him to move down the roadway, and he refused. I don't remember him refusing. Marco stayed for about 30 seconds and then continued to yell at his son and myself. I don't remember that happening.
Kid right now is only detained. He's sitting in the back of my car. We've had a very lengthy conversation.
This is the lieutenant, okay? So it's going to get even worse. Let's remember, this officer thinks what he did was suspicious, and you're fixing to find out why he thinks it's suspicious. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, because I'm going to not, I don't want to like stop in the video just to tell you my commentary in it. And when I talk while it's rolling, the audio doesn't work well. So this cop, something that you don't know, has run the record of this boy and realized that he has a narcotics violation, a prior history of narcotics violation. Him rolling up the window, and I've had that happen when I pull somebody over, they roll the window up and they don't want to roll it down because they know I'm going to smell weed. And that's typically why somebody will roll a window up, because they don't want you smelling inside their car. Now, he doesn't say anything here about smelling weed, but he's convinced that this boy's got narcotics in the car, and he doesn't have a search warrant, and he's certainly not going to get consent from this boy now, because, you know, this boy's trying to protect himself by rolling up the window because he's in fear, and that offended the police officer. You're afraid of me, you know? Yeah. I mean, look at you. You're getting all bent out of shape because I rolled my window up. So how is the police officer going to be legally allowed to look in this car? How is this officer going to be legally allowed to look in this vehicle? Well, the only way I can think of is if you were to arrest the individual in the car, then you could search the car incident to arrest without a warrant. You think he's going to arrest him for something?
He's been reasonable. I'm quite certain there's narcotics in the car, so I think I'm going to arrest him for the wide right turn.
Ooh, I think I'm going to go ahead and arrest him for the wide right turn. You know, that wide right turn that he made, really serious crime that he made. Because then we can search. Well, in Tennessee, if you're going to make an arrest out of a vehicle, the law now is you can only search the vehicle incident to arrest for something related to the arrest that you made. So in Tennessee, he would be limited in the scope of his search to only find evidence of the wide right turn. So in Texas, the law is a little bit different, and you can search incident to arrest a little more broadly. And So that's what he does.
He's got a history in narcotics. He was telling me, give me all sorts of clues. So I think I'm going to arrest him for the wide right turn.
And the lieutenant goes along with this. Okay. So the lieutenant goes along with this arrest for the wide right turn, which, come on, supervisors out there. Sorry, let me stop that real quick. Let's pay attention to what these cops are telling you happened on the scene, and let's evaluate it with common sense and reason. And if this supervisor had said, no, I think we've escalated this little wide right turn stop a little farther than we needed to. Let's just not search the car. Let's write him a ticket. You've already arrested Dad and put his face in the dirt and pepper sprayed him. So you got to take him to jail and hope you win, which you're not going to, because the cop's done everything. He's lied to everybody. He's lied to his lieutenant. He's lied to his fellow officer. He's lied on his report. He's lied. He would climb a tree to tell a lie. I mean, this cop's not going to tell the truth about this. What is going to tell the truth about this is the video. So a good supervisor here, a good lieutenant here would have said, no, I think you need to take emotion out of it. I think you've gotten too emotionally attached to this wide right turn stop. And I think we should call it a day and let this boy go with maybe a citation. That's personally what I would have done as the supervisor, but that's not what they did here. He actually allowed him to go forward with this. So the sergeant was accused of misconduct, and he was ultimately not suspended. He was demoted from a sergeant position to an officer position. And I think my little banner here at the bottom covered up the reason. So what the report said there was he's being demoted from from a sergeant position to an officer position with the right to reapply after 1 year to get his rank back. So he's going to be allowed to apply again in 1 year to get his rank back. Here's my problem. This kind of officer, this bully, is not going to get better after a year. He's going to be emboldened after a year, and he's going to get worse. And complaints like this are going to escalate. They're not going to de-escalate. He should be fired immediately. And I know there's a lawsuit going on right now. That all the charges, this is Dad, all the charges against Dad were ultimately dropped, and all of his fines and court costs were reimbursed to him. And North Texas man sues Keller police after the arrest incident. So he sued the police department here. And then this is the police chief. The police chief comes out with a statement and says, I'm offering you my public apology for the way you were treated and for the misconduct of my officers. I'm admitting to you that their conduct was improper. And he basically just killed any chance they had of winning the civil lawsuit, because the police chief came out and said, I admit what they did was wrong, and I'm apologizing for it. He was hoping that would be enough for Dad. And Dad said, well, that's great. And I accept your apology and I appreciate you giving it, but I think a little bit more needs to happen to these officers, and particularly the one that made the stop. The other officer, yeah, he jumped in and arrested this guy without knowing what the probable cause for the arrest was, but I've done that. I mean, if I walk up on the scene and an officer who's been on the scene longer than I just arrived and he says, arrest that man right there, put him in cuffs. Okay, I'll do it. I'm not arresting him. I'm arresting him for you. I'll put my cuffs on him, which you're going to promptly swap out when I put him in your car. Then we'll swap the cuffs out later. I've done that 1,000 times. And, just helping the police officer out because he needed help making multiple arrests. So I've done that. I don't fault the officer for arresting without really questioning why, because you don't question why when you arrive on a scene and it's relatively chaotic. And that, I mean, I'm not saying that one was chaotic when he walked up. It didn't appear that way. It appeared Dad was standing over there just peacefully videoing. but the second officer shouldn't be reprimanded or suspended or in any way demoted or disciplined is the word I'm looking for, because he really didn't do anything but assist. The stopping officer, the sergeant in control, was the one in control of all of that, and he should be fired. Absolutely fired. And here's my reasoning for that. He gets offended easily. And when you realize that somebody gets offended easily and you put them in a uniform with a badge and a gun and a taser and a pepper spray and a, maybe a billy club or you give them all of this power and they get offended easily, you're going to have bully cams. And unless you take the body cam off of them, you're going to have more body cams like this. So that's not going to get better. Number two, he lied multiple times. Not just little lies, boys and girls. He told big whopper lies. And it can be proven that he told big whopper lies because you have the report and you have the video. And it's like these two different things. The report does not match up with the video. So he has to go, because if he's going to lie on the street like that and lie on his reports and ultimately go to court and raise his right hand and lie, he's got to lie in court. He's got to lie to the judge. You have to swear him in, and he's going to lie under oath, because in order for him to make this case, he has to uphold that lie. And if you have a cop who knows he's caught on video and he tries to wiggle out of this mess he's got himself into by telling big lies, how do you think that's going to get better? And what if he really hurts somebody down the road? Do you not think he's going to lie about that? Let's say he shoots somebody that's unarmed. You not think this is the kind of cop that's going to go to the trunk of his car and get a throwdown and throw it on the ground? Oh, he had that gun. I don't know. I just shot him. He had a gun. He's got the body cam, which you would think would keep him honest, but it didn't in this case. So I don't know. It's just going to get worse. And there's no excuse not to fire this guy. So I might write a letter to that police chief and just tell him all my opinions. Not that he cares, but hey, that's what we do here. Stand Against Dark Blue. If we don't take a stand against darkness, if we don't take a stand against bullies, what good are we? Why are we here? Yeah, I do commentaries on videos and I'll bring you a Bullycam award of the day, that kind of thing. But I'm going to start getting more involved in these. I'm going to write letters. I'm going to lobby for the firing of this sergeant, because he doesn't need to be a police officer. And he's not the only one, but he's one. And if I can change one, I can get rid of one bully, or I can help in getting rid of one bully, then I feel like my existence is justified. That's ultimately what we want to do here, is we want to make a difference. And in order to make a difference, you got to get wet. You got to get in, If you're going to get in the pool, you got to get wet. Got to get your hands dirty. So, listen, thanks for watching this video. Charles, I appreciate you commenting. If you liked it, share it with a friend, subscribe, and go to our YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, go to Facebook. Like us on both platforms so that you'll always be notified when we go live. Now, yeah, we're going live on multiple platforms at once, so you're probably going to catch us if you're subscribing to one But it would just help us if you'd subscribe to the other channels, because ultimately, I think we're eventually going to move almost primarily to YouTube and Rumble. Right now, we're on Facebook and YouTube, but things are changing. I don't think this channel is going to get suppressed by YouTube, but I mean, I think we're helping. Could be wrong. I get a little bit political every now and then, so maybe they might demonetize me. But if you like and subscribe, it kind of keeps us from being canceled. And you really want to see these bully cams, right? That's what I think. So be sure and do that. And again, thanks so much for watching this channel. And as always, if you'll stand with us against the darkness, ultimately, we're going to shine some light on it. And darkness can't exist where there's light. So actually, darkness is just the absence of light. So if we show up with light, we can eradicate the darkness. That's my goal. Thanks again for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, you guys stay safe.